Hello Cloud Pedagogians, thanks for joining me in this session. In the next few sessions, we are going to learn how to leverage AWS Cloud9 to read, write and debug code without cutting edge functionality in the browser. If you found yourself here, you would probably already be well aware of what the AWS Cloud is, at least at a basic level. So, what is AWS Cloud9? Cloud9 is an integrated development environment, otherwise known as an IDE. It lets you code, build, run, debug, and release applications with just a browser. It is fully supported on the recent versions of Google Chrome, Safari, Firefox, and Microsoft Edge. Cloud9 has the features our software engineers have come to expect from our editors. It is a multi-language IDE that supports over 40 languages including JavaScript, Python, PHP, Ruby, Go and C++. It also supports syntax highlighting, color themes, all the shortcut keys, code completion, hinting and step-through debugging with access to a full Linux server for running and storing code. Plus some very cool collaboration features as well. Since your Cloud9 IDE is cloud-based, you can work on your projects from your office, home or anywhere using an internet-connected machine. Cloud9 also provides a seamless experience for developing serverless applications that enables you to easily define resources, debug and switch between local and remote execution of serverless applications. Your Cloud9 IDE interacts with the development environment where you will host your project files and run build tools. Also, with Cloud9, you can quickly share your development environment with your team, enabling you to pair programs and track each other's inputs in a real time. So, what is normal IDE versus to Cloud9? There are some popular IDEs include Visual Studio, WebStorm, PyCharm, just to name a few. With most IDEs, developers download and run the IDE's software on their local machine. They use the IDE to locally write, debug and run the code. Cloud9 is a pioneer in the IDE world because it actually enables developers to write, debug and run the code all within their browser. So what does that mean exactly? Well, in short, you can access Cloud9 from a URL and then from your browser you can perform any functionality that an IDE would typically provide. So straight from your browser you can write, debug and run the code with suite of cutting edge features. So who should use AWS Cloud9 basically? Anybody who writes code can use AWS Cloud9. Those developing applications using JavaScript, Python, PHP, Ruby, Go and C++ can use Cloud9 and have immediate access to a fully configured development environment in their browsers with pre-installed runtimes, package managers and debugging tools. With Cloud9, you are no longer tied to a single development machine and can access your development environment from any internet-connected computer. AWS developers and those evaluating new AWS services can use AWS Cloud9 for easy access to their AWS resources, that too through a pre-configured AWS command line interface. It allows you to run commands against AWS services. Those developing serverless application on AWS Lambda using Node.js or Python can use the built-in tools in Cloud9 to create, edit, run, debug and deploy their Lambda functions from within the IDE. So which programming languages are supported in Cloud9? AWS Cloud9 supports over 40 programming languages including JavaScript, Python, PHP, Ruby, Go and C++. It includes features such as syntax highlighting, outline view, code hinting, code completion, application runners, and step-through debugging for many popular programming languages. So, when it comes to the pricing for AWS Cloud9, there is no additional charge for AWS Cloud9. If you use an Amazon EC2 instance for your AWS Cloud9 development environment, you pay only for the compute and storage resources, that is an EC2 instance and EBS volume, that are actually used to run and store your code. You can also connect your Cloud9 development environment to an existing Linux server, for example on-premises server, where you can do this via SSH for no additional charge. Now let's see the benefits of Cloud9. Code with just a browser. AWS Cloud9 gives you the flexibility to run your development environment on a managed Amazon EC2 instance or any existing Linux server that supports SSH. This means that you can write, run, and debug applications with just a browser without needing to install or maintain a local IDE. The Cloud9 code editor and integrated debugger include helpful time-saving features such as code hinting, code compilation, and step-through debugging. The Cloud9 terminal provides a browser-based shell experience enabling you to install additional software, do a git push, or enter commands. Next, code together in real time. AWS Cloud9 makes collaborating on code easily. You can share your development environment with your team in just a few clicks and repair programs together. While collaborating, your team members can see each other's types in real time. Also, instantly chat with one another from within the IDE. Next, build serverless applications with ease. AWS Cloud9 makes it easy to write, run, and debug serverless applications. It pre-configures the development environment with all the SDKs, libraries, and plugins needed for serverless development. Cloud9 also provides an environment for locally testing and debugging AWS Lambda functions. This allows you to iterate on your code directly, saving you time and improving the quality of your code. Next, direct terminal access to AWS. AWS Cloud9 comes with a terminal that includes sudo privileges to the managed Amazon EC2 instance that is hosting your development environment and a pre-authenticated AWS command line interface. This makes it easy for you to quickly run commands and directly access AWS services. Next, start new projects quickly. AWS Cloud9 makes it easy for you to start new projects. Cloud9's development environment comes pre-packaged with tooling for over 40 programming languages, as we have discussed already, including JavaScript, Python, PHP, Ruby, Go, and C++. This enables you to start writing code for popular application stacks within minutes by eliminating the need to install or configure files, SDKs, and plugins for your development mission. Because Cloud9 is cloud-based, you can easily maintain multiple development environments to isolate your project's resources. Next, to no cost for usage. There is no additional charge for AWS Cloud9. If you use an Amazon EC2 instance for your AWS Cloud9 development environment, you pay only for the compute and storage resources that are used to run and store your code. You can also connect your AWS Cloud9 development environment to an existing Linux server via SSH for no additional charge. Basically, you pay for what you use as you use it. There are no minimum fees and no upfront commitments. You are charged the normal AWS rates for any AWS resources, for example, AWS Lambda functions that you create or use within your AWS Cloud9 development environment. Cloud9 or any IDE really has three primary objectives. These objectives are to allow developers to write, run, and debug code in the most efficient way possible. When writing code with Cloud9, you have a full suite of features that makes the cloud development experience as seamless as possible while providing you features that minimize your productivity. Features like code hinting and code compilation make it feel just as if you were coding directly on your own computer. Pre-packaged execution abilities with Cloud9 allows you to quickly run your code for common programming languages such as Node.js, Python, and C#, etc. Run configuration often works out of the box but remains flexible to allow developers to customize them to meet their needs. An integrated debugger allows a developer to pause code execution in their browser and step through their code line by line by analyzing local variables and call stacks. This enables faster debugging issues, resulting in more resilient code and faster velocity for creating new features. So how does Cloud9 actually works? At the highest level, use a computer, literally any computer, and you can access AWS via a URL in a browser. From there, Cloud9 runs a virtual machine, typically an EC2 instance, and integrates with code commits or for saving your code in source control. The seamless integration from Cloud9 to other AWS services is one of the main selling points for leveraging it as an IDE. That's good. You have got an idea about Cloud9. In the next session, we are going to create our environment in Cloud9. Thanks for your interest and time. I hope to meet you again in my upcoming videos. Until then, take care.